Greetings to my fellow Reds. Well, I've purposely waited a couple of days before chatting about the debacle against Wolves, because had I expressed and vented my feelings immediately after that game, I have no doubt that I would have been given a lifelong ban by Facebook and probably all other forms of social media. What a horrible performance, inexcusable, and really, for me, one of the worst games that I've ever had to witness United playing, although after 20 minutes, the game should have been done and dusted and 3-0 up. But we'll try and analyse that a bit more in due course. Starting lineup, David de Gea in goals. I couldn't quite work out if we started with a back three of Young, Lindelof and Smalling, or if it was a back four with Luke Shaw added to those. The midfield, Scott McTominay, Fred and Paul Pogba, and up front, Lukaku and Lingard. Diego Dalot also in the team, and again, not quite sure if he lined up front on the right flank or if he was an auxiliary midfielder or fullback. I'm not quite sure he knew either on the night. Anyway, the game got off to a flying start. United started off very differently from our previous game at Molineux, and in truth, we should have been a goal to the good in the first couple of minutes. Now, for me, a £75 million striker, when he's got a free header one-on-one with a goalkeeper from 2 meters out, he should score. But of course, we're not talking about guys like Aguero. We're talking about Lukaku, and he fluffed his lines straight at the goalkeeper. So that was very, very disappointing. But we kept the pressure on, and in the 13th minute, the only guy who covered himself in glory on the night, Scott McTominay, scored his first goal for United with a long-range shot from outside the box. Something that we don't seem to do much these days is shoot from outside the box, but Scotty took his goal very, very well. 1-0 to the good. Right, you 1-0 up, go for the jugular. My favourite headless chicken, Jesse, a free header. About 5 minutes after McTominay's goal, a free header softly towards the goalkeeper, and that was it. Should have been 3-0, yet we were still 1-0 up, 1 goal to the good. Then came the first Keystone Cops movement of the game. David de Gea passed the ball out to Fred just outside the box. He was pressurised by some Wolves players. He passed it back to de Gea. Made a bit of space for himself. De Gea gave it back to Fred. Now, for me, £52 million should buy you a player that has basic ball skills that can control a ball at his feet. Well, he fluffed his lines. He lost possession. Wolves broke through, and that was it. 1-1, parity. For the rest of the first half, we were under the cosh. Now, one thing that I counted, I watched Ashley Young in the first half. I stopped counting after his first 12 passes went to the opposition, and that was the story of the rest of the first half. Couldn't keep possession, and in fact, we were extremely lucky to go in at the interval on level pegging. Second half, and what happens? Ashley Young gets sent off. Second bookable offence. I got no arguments with that, a deserved red card. Then, in one of very few flowing movements in the second half, Scott McTominay with a diving header. I guess he could have put it to the keeper's side. In truth, their keeper made an excellent save, and that was it. Still 1-1. Substitutions. Fred was looking all at sea, so the donkey Phil Jones comes on to replace him. Wolves get a free kick out on the flank. A pretty harmless ball into the center of the box. Jones turns creator, puts the ball into the path of Chris Smalling, who guides it into his own net expertly. So 2-1 to Wolves. Now, if you go back and look at that goal, I think we have to factor into the equation the goalkeeper. Had Peter Schmeichel been in goals, he would have come out for the ball, he would have taken out the Wolves striker, he would have taken out his own 2 defenders, and he would have made the ball his own. De Gea was glued to his line, and I have to say, not his best performance on the night. So that was it, 2-1 to Wolves, down to 10 men. Late substitutes, Pereira, Martial did nothing to influence the game, and we were left smarting after yet another defeat, and a crucial one because all the teams around us won. A lot of pressure on United, back into 6th position. So a really very, very disappointing game on the night. Individual performances, and before I get to those, Ashley Young, red card. Luke Shaw, another booking, his 10th booking of the season and an automatic 2-match ban. Now, it was stated before this game that this was the last game of the season where the 10-card rule would apply, and it would be back to 0 after this game. And Luke Shaw could definitely have avoided that yellow card. I thought that was a tremendous moment of immaturity and a black mark against him, surely. Right, individual performances. David De Gea. Well, he looked tentative on the night. His distribution wasn't great. I felt that he should have come off his line for that winning goal that Wolves scored. And has he got one eye in Madrid? I'm not quite sure. But by his standards, a poor game. And I've noticed in his last couple of games, his distribution has been left a little bit wanting. Ashley Young. Ashley Young, it's time for you to be put out to pasture. If one thinks back to the 2011 season, Gary Neville's last season, Neville had the guts to turn around and say his legs had gone. He needed to stop playing. Ashley Young should do the same. We've got a 33-year-old winger playing at right back. He is not distinguishing himself there. He's late to the tackle. His distribution is shocking. Time for him to go. Right. Couple of the centre-backs. Pineapple Head and the Donkey, Smalling and Jones. How these guys can command regular places in this team is utterly incredulous. How they can have been given long-term contracts at United is even more incredulous. For me, they are no better than championship players, and if I were in control of the club, which thank God for all of you I'm not, I would ship them out immediately. They always have an error in them. And as for Smalling and that flipping ridiculous haircut, someone should chop that pineapple off of his head. Victor Lindelof on the night, a poor game. He got out-muscled by the Wolves strikers. He really didn't contribute much. Luke Shaw, stupid booking. Couple of good moves going forward, but really disappointed because we'll be without him for the next couple of games. And no doubt the loose cannon Marcus Rojo will be coming in at left back now. The midfield, well, let's talk about Scott McTominay first because he had a good game. He was the only player who played decently, and I think we'll see a lot more of this young guy. He's confident on the ball. He gets forward. He's not scared to get into a tackle. I like him. Paul Pogba, an utterly languid performance. He looked totally uninterested. Contributed zip on the night. Lots of speculation about him going to Madrid. You know what? It goes for him and any other player. If you don't want to play for the club, get out. I would not lose a moment's sleep if he had to leave. Fred, it's been a disaster this season. Contributed greatly to Wolves' first goal, and this guy needs to up his game. He's certainly not showing the characteristics of a 50+ million pound player. Diogo Dalot, this guy looks a good footballer. I think that he will nail down the right back spot come the following season. He still needs to work on his defending, but he's probably the best crosser of the ball in the team that we have. Lukaku, very disappointing. Should have scored in the first couple of minutes. He had another opportunity towards the end of the first half that went past the post. This guy needs multiple chances to get onto the score sheet. Not the player he was. Very, very disappointing. And of course, Jesse Lingard contributed absolutely nothing. Can't stand the sight of him. Wish that he would be shipped out. No more than a bench player who maybe can come on and score that occasional goal once every 20 games that has everybody waxing lyrical about him. I cannot understand how all the pundits say that he runs into space. Well, he runs into space and he doesn't have the ball. So for me, I would never have him in my starting lineup. So has this exposed exactly what is going on at United? Have we enjoyed a kind of honeymoon period over Solskjaer over these last few months and we're being found out now? Very difficult to say. We've already been linked with about 20 new players in the summer. We need reinforcements in all areas of the pitch, and it'll also be interesting to see who gets shipped out. Next game, Barcelona next week. Well, Messi, Suarez and co must be rubbing their hands in glee at the thought of coming up against these United defenders. But hey, we put paid to Juve, we put paid to PSG. Stranger things have happened, and maybe we'll see a massively improved performance. We certainly need that to not be on the receiving end of an absolute thrashing. No United game the coming weekend. I'll need to find an appropriate place in Sydney early in the morning to watch the Barca game. Hope to come back with positive feedback and to be back in the red shirt next week. But the way things are looking at the moment, that would be a tall order. I wish you a fabulous weekend ahead. Take care and cheers.